Welcome to our TAE Aerospace Ipswich Jets After the 60, the sister show to our After the 80, but shining our spotlight this time on netball. Every fortnight, we go beyond the court to bring you player stories, coaching insights, and everything in between in the world of Jets netball. We would like to thank Hoyts Cinemas, North Ipswich, who are hosting us during the series. They're in the centre of town, just recently opened. Everything's shiny and new, and they're a platinum sponsor of our Jets. Today we're joined by one of the rising stars of Queensland netball, Elsa Sif Sandholt. From her roots in Reykjavik, Iceland, to dominating the courts with the Ipswich Jets and Firebirds futures, Elsa's journey is as unique and it is inspiring. A former rhythmic gymnast turned grand final MVP and national squad member, she is a player with skill, heart and determination. We'll dive into her story, her culture, and what drives her both on and off the court. Elsa Sif Sandholt, Jet number 24.
Thank you.
Our question without notice. We're at Hoyts Cinemas. What's the last film you saw?
Oh gosh. I think it was a comfort movie. I watched The Holiday the other day.
Okay.
I love that movie. It's so just comforting, so nice.
Fantastic. There we go. Yes. All right. So we're starting with something that was, I guess, quite unique to you. That you were born in Reykjavik, Iceland, a country known for its stunning northern lights, having no McDonald's, and producing more books per capita than any other nation. What brought you to Australia, and how did that transition influence your early years?
I moved over when I was 3 years old with my parents and my siblings. My aunt had actually previously moved over with an Australian guy, and then started a family here, and I think Iceland is a small place, and so they just wanted something new, something fresh, different opportunities. They wanted to just step out of their comfort zone and give it a go, and I think it really paid off. I mean, we all really love it over here. Was looking for that fresh start, and my dad got a job here, and loved it.
Now, part of this, obviously, get to do some research, and with a quick type into Google, the surname Sandholt translates roughly to sandy hill in Icelandic. Two questions. Did you know that? And secondly, tell me there's a wonderful story of how that alludes to you, your journey, and your Icelandic roots.
I really wish there was. I wish there was. I had researched it once at school when someone asked me what it meant, and there was some kind of story about how someone looked out onto the landscape and there was these rolling kind of hills, and they decided that they were made of sand, but Iceland's not very full of hills. It's just kind of like mountains and rocks and stuff like that, so I'm not really sure if it's very accurate. But no, I think the other side of it is that in Iceland it's very uncommon to have a family name. So the fact that I have the name Sandholt, and that's so strong through my dad's side of the family, I think it just holds a lot of sentiment to my connection to them back in Iceland. And my mum actually, oddly enough, does have a family name as well. And I've floated the idea of adding it in on the back of my dress here and there, so Hama Santa, but we'll see.
What is it?
Hama.
Okay.
So Hama Santa.
You realise you're going to run out of space on your list.
Yeah, that's alright. That's alright. But no, you're usually named after your dad. So my name should probably be Þórisdóttir, so Þóris daughter. But my parents.
You're going to be a commentator's wheels like.
Yeah, I know. They wanted something more international.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Now, I mean, coming from Iceland to Australia, I mean, the establishment's very young. But even in, just talking to you now, there seems to be a huge passion for the country.
Yeah.
And getting back there. So, within your family dynamic, are there any traditions, foods or sayings that you still keep alive within your household?
Yeah, I obviously still speak the language of my family and really try to keep that connection with my grandparents and aunts, uncles, cousins and things like that. And I think that language in general is very big for me, because the Icelandic language in itself is almost like starting to die out because we're not a big population. So yeah, keeping that strong is really important to me, and it has translated to netball. I do have some like cue words and little words that I use to remember things on the court, which is really, really special to me.
Well, I mean, I guess do you speak Icelandic at home? Is that how you keep that going?
Yeah, definitely. I think going back is always the best way to keep it going as well. So having during COVID specifically, when I couldn't go over and see everybody, and having that FaceTime connection, the language is really what kept us all together. And I think, yeah, my grandparents, they're just so great. So having that connection is really great.
Now, I have a wife that's Serbian, so when she swears in Serbian to ensure she moderates that. Do you swear in Icelandic?
There's a few words here and there, but I'm definitely, like, I've got the Australian accent, got the Aussie style on that side.
Yeah, okay, fantastic. All right, so let's delve into you, because again, the wonderful opportunity that this provides is to do a bit of deep dive into the people, and yours is a fantastic story. So before netball, you spent a decade as a rhythmic gymnast. What inspired you to pursue gymnastics, and what are some of the highlights from that period of time? It was a fair chunk of time spent in your early years.
Yeah, it was definitely a long time, and when we moved over to Australia, it was really my grandma back home in Iceland who kind of had that influence. She was really, really big on gymnastics and dance and that kind of thing, and so my mum and dad decided to put me into it. And in my earliest years, I loved it. It was great. Met lots of great people, learned so many different things. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, it was a decade, and it was a long time. My transition over to netball was obviously due to the fact that I am quite tall, and I don't know if you've met a gymnast lately, but they're not very tall. So yeah, I had some great moments as a gymnast, specifically in my later years. I think, I went to nationals twice, once for individual gymnastics and once for group gymnastics, and I was lucky enough that when I went with junior international group, we ended up winning. And it's really where that year was my last year, and it's really where I found my passion for team sports. I'd done, that 9-year, I guess, slog as an individual gymnast, just to realise that that's not really where I excelled and where I loved, the sport and everything like that. I think my greatest memories of training was our 5-minute break in between when I got to be with all the kids, and we'd all laugh and chat and have a good time. So yes, transitioning over to that group gymnastics was really, really important to me.
And I guess, again, I make no excuse, the level of gymnastic knowledge I have is minimal.
Yeah.
But certainly I would assume that conditioning your body and the impact on your body and nutrition and diet to be, at your prime at that level is already starting on that, elite athlete journey.
Yeah, and I think definitely starting in that high performance environment from such a young age. I think I was training, 30 hours a week from, when I was maybe 9 or 10. So I think starting really early with that, straight from school, I went to training for 5 hours, straight from school training for 5 hours, Saturday training for 8 hours. They're long periods of time, and it takes a lot of dedication. And I think that that's something that my parents really instilled into me. I made a commitment for the year to be in the program, and so I took that on with 2 hands, and there was no time where they would ever let me back down on that. So yeah,
that's good. I think that, again, what we see again in all these conversations we have is that dedication, and it seems you had that from an early age, and so you put that down a lot to not only just your own capabilities but also your parents pushing you to do that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the way that the gymnastics season kind of flows, by the end of it I would always love it and want to sign up again, and then pre-season hits and you go, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And then you just have to remind yourself that you love it, do it because you love it.
So you touched on it before just then, but at 14 you made that change and came to netball. So how did your gymnastics background benefit you and give you the right skill set to enter into netball other than very tall?
Yeah, well, height definitely helps, but I think gymnastics just gave me something different. And I think when I got my first contract at Bond in 2018, they said that I had gotten a kind of X factor from gymnastics, and that not a lot of tall girls in my position were a gymnast for a decade and have faced the different demands of the sport like that. I was lucky. I think I was very lucky to have had that past. A lot of tall shooters are told from a very, very young age they're pigeonholed to shooter or keeper and say, stay there. You stay there and you hold. And so I think it really benefited me that, I came into the sport and they told me to stay and learn to hold and learn these different skills. But I think now, especially those skills as a gymnast, my timing, my rhythm, my footwork, things like that have really come into play, which I'm really grateful for.
Now, in 2022, you became Jet number 22. Bizarrely enough, when I researched that today, as I showed Holly, it was at 222. So that's the universe thrown as a sign of some description.
Wow.
But that's when you came into our sphere and joined the TA Aerospace, which is Jets, and it was the 4th year of our franchise. How did that impact your development and your exposure in competitive netball then?
I think coming into the Jets environment, just in general, I just loved it immediately. All the girls were so supportive and so incredible, and I think being on the Gold Coast, you're kind of so far away from the heart of Brisbane, like netball, even though it's only an hour down the road. But I really think taking that step up, I guess, into the Brisbane scene, there was an added level of experience in the group. There was an insane amount of just like management wizards that ran the program so well. And so I really stepped into a professional environment that really reflected like my own values as well. So I really enjoyed my time with Jens.
And it sounds like, again, from what I'm picking up, that not only do you thrive from your own enjoyment of the sport, but also coming into a structure to reflect that professionalism as well, whether it be your S&C, whether it be your coaching, whether it be the structure for the teammates, that you really thrive off that as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think having that structure is always going to help, and it's always going to keep everybody on the same track and work towards the ultimate goal.
Yeah. So after the 2023 National Netball Championships in Darwin, we were chosen for the Australian Under-19 Women's squad. How did that selection affect your training and focus? I mean, again, what's interesting when you do your research into you is that you've accelerated extremely fast through the ranks. I think you're only 21 now, which is, the story I'm telling you could be somebody that's been doing this sport for 15 years. So how did that rapid ascent into that environment, that arena, change your focus and your training?
I think it really just made it real. I think when I flew to the AIS for the first time, I was like, wow, this is a real thing. Like, I could actually do well here. And so I really just kind of decided that I would take the opportunity with 2 hands and really make the most of it. I think the biggest thing for me is that you're not going to succeed in something if you don't enjoy it. And so I found my enjoyment in netball, and I think that is honestly one of the reasons why I've gotten to where I am now. It's because of the people that I've met along the way. I had some incredible coaches in my earlier years that really just saw something in me, because I was not a netball player. I did not have like the traditional netball fundamentals, but they really saw something and just said, no, we're going to take it and run with it. And so as much as it was me that got that, has progressed so quickly, I think it was the people that have supported me the way to getting there. And then when I entered the under-19s environment, that was just that next step. I obviously had a taste of it in under-17s when we had a state-based camp during COVID. But flying away to the AIS was incredible, and it really showed that next step and the talent that was out there.
And was that enough to give you a taste of, this is where I want my netball to go?
I think it was a good starting stone, a stepping stone. And it wasn't until I think the next year where I made under-19s. That was Darwin, you're right. I was also selected as an underage invitee to the under-21s environment. And that was all the girls were a lot older than me, and I stepped in there and I went, what am I doing here? But I ended up really enjoying it. I saw the intensity rose, the level of talent and the hard work that came behind it. I think that under-21s experience was probably what pushed me to go, under-19s was my taste. Yeah. And then I went to 21s and I went, yep, I like this. It's rough, it's hard, but I love it.
Now, also in 2023, we had the opportunity to appear in the Half Satellite Series Grand Final. You were named MVP, but we lost, as I'm sure I don't need to remind you, 53-52. Yeah. I was on the court beside you, and I was sat right behind the goalpost when that goal was scored on the siren, after the siren, through a penalty goal. How did that how did you process that heartbreak personally? What did it teach you as a player and a teammate in how you put so much effort into so long to get that place? How did that build your character?
Yeah, it was really difficult, and I think to have gone through it with such a great team, that's kind of what pulled me through it. So that you weren't going through it by yourself, you were going through it with everybody, and everybody in that room that was a Jet supporter, we felt the same heartbreak. So I think we had, like you said, we had fought for so long throughout the whole season, consistent performances, and then we were just faced with, injury in the grand final, we're missing HE, and just didn't fall our way, which was heartbreaking. But I think if anything, it really put that fire in the belly for the next year. And it was rough, but it taught me a lot. And I think as an athlete, you place a lot of value in like winning and whatever else, but I think it really taught me to value the relationships around me that I had developed through that campaign. Because when I look back at that season now, yes, I remember watching that final shot go in and just like being heartbroken, but I also remember, Abby and Steph by my side. We dealt with the challenge of that, like Chloe going down, and we just said, no, we're going to do this, we're going to make this happen, and that determination as a group, that's what I remember from that day, and that's what I saw come through the year after.
And I think that, again, going back to what we said previously about structure and around you, I think maybe also that was a good opportunity to see the value that Jets have in you as people. The fact that, win, lose, it is what it is. You couldn't have done anything more on that day. But for us, as a club, to again understand and appreciate the effort you put in week in, week out. So how does it feel to be, supported, regardless of results, just supported the fact that we're wonderful ambassadors of the club, and the fact we get our support, sponsors, community fans, across the board. How does that feel to be an athlete knowing I don't have the support behind you?
It's great. Yeah, it's great to know that we have like an extra wave of support behind us no matter what happens, and we know that our sponsors, our managers, our fans, the community, they all back us 100%, and it's great to know that we have that trust and we have that support from the community. That's kind of, we have a support and community within our own team, and then to have it expanded is great.
And we established at the start the Jet number 22, and that was after 4 years or into our 4th year of our franchise. So again, that probably gives an indication of how close-knit Love Girls Go. Like we've got people like Steph and Brooke who have come from foundation, still playing now. So netball, I guess, is a really close-knit community, and you get to know the girls really well through years.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, Steph is one who has just fought and fought and fought and fought. And that end of that grand final, she was probably the first person that I looked at and I went, next year, let's go.
And that's a great segue, Elsa, into next year. 2024 saw us clinch the premiership. So what do you think was it? Was it reflected on 23? Was it, it was a very similar team. So, what was it to change year on year to come away with a victory in 24 that you didn't have in 23?
Yeah, I think a big factor was continuity, and then I think the fact that, we all had that fire in the belly after that grand final and said, no, we're going to do this and we're going to do it well. I think that is an incredible motivator. At the time it was. But I really think that beyond netball, our culture and the way that we are off the court is what clinched us through that season. So I think you can have some great players and they might click here and there on the court, but if you can't interact with them off the court and you can't build those connections, I think the fact that our connections just kept growing and growing and growing over time, I think that's what really pieced that premiership together. And the fact that we were consistent, we did everything right, we did all our S&C right, we really just put the foot down and said that this is our year.
So, I guess the pressure of winning the British for 2024, and then we're now in 2025. So, do you feel added pressure this season to go back to back? And obviously, Megan's first year, Paul is now with the Firebirds. How do the girls feel? And again, is this year just a different year? Whatever happens again happens, or do you feel pressure as Premier trying to go back to back?
I think, we're athletes if not anything else. We want to win. We love to win like everybody else, but yeah, it's definitely a new look. Not only in our coaching staff, we do have a few new inclusions in our team, and because of our success last year, we had girls picked up with the Firebirds and the Firebirds Futures program, and so we've not been at Jets training the entire preseason, and so forming that like close-knit connection again, having that off-court is really helpful, but we still need to train together. So that kind of disconnect has been difficult to come into the season with. So we've had ups and downs through the start of this season because of that. But yeah, I think from going from the hunters to the hunted is a different mentality. And so I think it's going to take a bit more time for us to really come together and make a push for finals, which we will be doing.
That's all kind of we just have to say that.
But yeah, it'll be great to have Abby back as well.
And again, it's worth pointing out that the success is a double-edged sword, as you said. Once you show success, we lost our head coach to the Firebirds. We lost, our girls to various programs, Future Firebirds, etc. So, as you said, how do you bridge that gap where you're not with the girls, especially you would be in a normal year? Again, you're still a young athlete, you're still learning. So how is, what's the better place to ensure you maintain that connection from the start?
Yeah, I think we've obviously started coming into training more now that the Firebird season's coming to a close, which has been great, but also just communicating even if it's through like a text message, just connections about what we want, what's going on, how we're checking in with people. But I also think that once we've stepped away from the environment and we've gone to Firebirds or Firebirds Futures, you come back with knowledge, and I think stepping up as leaders has really lifted the girls around us, I think one of the
key things also that's worth highlighting is that what you've also done through this process is give maybe Ruby girls opportunities to step up into those shoes and bring other girls through. So it must be also, whilst I'm sure you want to be out there representing Jets, some level of you also sit back and admire the athleticism and the professionalism of these athletes having to step up and do that. So what does that look like from you looking in, seeing that next breed of athlete coming through?
Yeah, I think it's great to see that we are fostering and using our pathway and allowing those opportunities to the Ruby girls and the Emerald girls to come up into the Ruby team even. And we've seen some great success from those players because they have been doing the work in the background. For myself to, know that if I can't be at training this week, there's someone there, or that I can't play this game because of this, or Lil can't play this game, like we have so much support from Jets as an institution, but also from the girls within the club to fill those gaps and just make it work on game day. It's makes you breathe a little easier when you can't be there. But yeah, they've been doing really well, and I'm really proud of what they've been able to do.
Now, part of your program, your PACT program, is you're part of the Firebirds Future Squad. What is that experience like to train in that environment? How does that differ from any of your other competition levels that you've currently been?
Yeah, Firebirds is a step up. It's a massive step up. Even from the Firebirds Futures environment, it felt like an entirely new world walking in there, but at the end of the day, it's netball. So you kind of clinch onto the things but yeah, it's definitely another level of intensity going from semi-professional sport where we all have our own lives of uni or work or whatever else and managing to get it all to fit together, to that then going to your full-time job. It's a huge shift in mentality, and so it's been intense. There have been highs, there have been lows, but the group at Firebirds has really taken us in and really welcomed us into that environment and supported us in every way that they can. And so while it's a step up, we've been really supported in that step up.
So one of the things that when we first started talking, the fact that you live in Canberra, we obviously train out of Nissan Arena. Again, as a young athlete, how do you balance your role with the commitments of the Jets, commitments with the Firebirds, studying? Are you studying or working?
Studying.
Okay. So with your study, schedule and the amount of travel you do, then I think I had a quick look on a good day from Tambourine to this area, it's probably an hour. It's horrendous, I'm sure, most days of the week. So, how do you manage all that to pursue your net dreams?
Yeah, it's definitely a jam-packed schedule. I work and I am at uni down on the Gold Coast, and then I train up at Brisbane, so I spend a lot of hours on the road, but I think I've been doing that for a long time. Even when I was in gymnastics, in my last few years, I trained up at Robertson State School, which was just across the road from Nissan actually, so a bit of a full circle moment there. But yeah, I'm very used to that drive, and it does take a toll, so you do have to kind of find ways to switch off for maybe staying in Brisbane for a night if you've got a late night and an early morning. Things like that can really help. But yeah, it just comes down to being organised and just knowing that, okay, I'm going to be spending 3 hours on the road today. What am I doing in that time to either unwind and take that time for myself so that I can give 100% of myself when I go to training, when I go to uni, or I'm at work with the kids that I coach. So yeah, it's really finding that balance and just making most of the time that I have.
So living in Tambourine, do you have a sweet tooth for fudge? Or do you avoid it?
I think when we first moved up there, I was ecstatic to be so close, and then after about a week, I was like, I'm done.
Can't do any more favours with large fudge.
Get me out of this gallery walk place.
Through your journey in netball, I'm sure you've come across a lot of role models who have influenced your career or mentors. Who have been some of those significant people that have surrounded you, either players that you've played with, players you've respected, or people you've been coached by?
I think definitely in my early years I had a coach, Darlene. She was my first ever rep coach, and she was actually the one who pushed me to trial for Bond to be in their program. She was one of the first people who kind of saw something in me that no one else saw, and she really pushed me to just give it a go and be the best version of myself that I could be. But then, stepping into more of the professional environment that we're in now, someone like Abby has given me a lot of perspective and direction and a lot of good chats that I've needed at times. So having someone like her at Firebirds, but also at Jets, has been great. And I think, having someone who's kind of done it all, just come back and have a down to earth chat with you has been really, really good for me.
Now, one of the things that, again, is we go back to your change from gymnastics into netball. For anybody that's watching this as a young athlete, what's your advice to an athlete who wants to transition or thinks of transition between sports or starting a new sport, maybe in a career? I mean, again, we go back to our, people like Steph who balanced AFL with netball and somehow does both, and how she does it. Obviously, going back right to again, those foundation year, Lucy Benjamin, who again from the AFL into netball. So, for somebody who's maybe in a sport that thinks, is it too late? How do I transition? What should I do? What's your best advice? I mean, what did you have to do as a mindset to change?
I think just give it a crack. If you really enjoy it and you really want to be there and you really are invested in it, give it a crack. I think my story, if anything, is a testament to the fact that it's never too late to start a sport, even if they're polar opposites. So I think, if you've played one sport, that's always going to transition or translate in some way to another sport, whether that's, psychological, whether that's physical. Like, there's so many different aspects you can think of it from. And so I think my best advice would be, honestly, to just give it a go if you want to do it.
And with all this pressure on you and your body, like, how do you maintain your loading? How do you maintain your health and your well-being and your physical fitness and mental fitness to stay in the right space and keep your body, to the ultimate?
Well, we're obviously very well supported up at Firebirds with recovery and access to physios and treatment and things like that. But I think mentally for me, I do drive a lot, and so listening to music while I'm on the road allows me to tune out of everything, not think about netball, not think about work, not think about studying, just, I think some people have mindfulness. I think that's my mindfulness, because I'm not someone who's going to sit there and meditate. I'm not a meditator or anything like that. So that's become my kind of way to ground myself and just tune out, not think about anything but the music that I'm listening to, or something like that.
So obviously there's a wonderful follow-up question to this. So we jump to your car right now and press play on the Spotify playlist. what's going to be the first track that comes in?
Something by Leon Thomas, probably. I'm very much in a very kind of easygoing music stage at the moment.
Do you go through your different moods, or is
yeah.
Okay.
I have times where I need a bit of a pump up, but
You don't listen to that going into a game. Is there a pump up song that you listen to get you in the right mindset?
Whatever Omi's got on the speaker in the change room is usually pretty good. No, but I feel like there's that much hype in our change room that coming in chilled is probably the best way to go.
So if you could write your own story from here on, and we sit here 10 years time and look back, what's your aspirations both domestically and internationally with any of this?
Yeah, look, this year there is obviously the Youth World Cup, and so being in the mix for selection on that is has been an honour and a privilege to have travelled to Fiji with under 21s and been on a tri series at the start of the year against England and New Zealand. So I think making that Youth World Cup squad would be incredible, and I think it would be a real testament to the work that I've done over the past few years. But looking beyond that, a Super Netball contract of some kind is obviously always going to be the goal when you're in this kind of space. Whether that's an 11th player or a full-time, yet to see. But yeah, that's definitely something that I'm really pushing for and really chipping away at.
I think you're putting everything in place to give yourself the best opportunity. When you look at our current season so far, how do you sort of travelling? What do you, I guess, see as success this year, other than the optimal of obviously feeling friendship again? But what do you see as success for you and the team this year?
Yeah, I think really I love seeing growth in the players around me, and I think being in the position that I am in now, I've been able to step up into more of a leadership role, especially in our shooting end. And I think to see younger players come in when, say, Abby's been out, and to see that development, to see them really just take on the challenge and develop, that's been incredible for me. Across our mid-court, our defence, the connections that we have is part of that success. And I think even if it doesn't pay off this year, it will pay off the year after that, and the year after that, and the year after that. Or if it doesn't pay off this week, it might pay off next week. And so I think our success is really internal, and our connections and little things that we take on to the next game.
Part of just to look going quickly, one of the things you've had to adapt to is the 2-point shot. As a shooter, how did that mean to you? How did that change your game, and how did that change your focus for training? What did you have to do to take that into your game?
Yeah, well, initially it didn't change very much for me, because we had incredible goal attacks out the front who would just shoot the lights out, and I was there as a rebounder. And so over this pre-season, I think I've seen my role really shift to being someone to stand up in those moments and take the shot. And so I think obviously being the Firebirds has really helped me with that confidence and shooting under pressure and shooting under fatigue and all of that. And it's really changed the way that our game works defensively as well. But yeah, it really makes you think about it, and I think it's really shown who in our league is smarter. I think is really important. So yeah, I think it's a great addition, and I think it's really exciting.
Couple of questions to finish off. When you're not training or playing, what's something surprising that people expect of you to enjoy or to be good at?
Recently, I've actually started doing a lot more cooking. Like, I really enjoy cooking. I don't know, not baking, cooking. So I used to be a big baker. Back in the day, I'd bake cookies and like everything like that. Back in the day.
Back in the day.
Back in all of
like 2022. Yes.
No, when I was like 15, 16, I went through a big baking phase, and I loved baking. And yeah, so now I've kind of stepped out of my comfort zone to do some more like Italian and Asian and things like that, which I find really nice.
So when you were baking, probably if I came to your bakery, what would I do again?
Probably some like gingerbread cookies or something like that. Yeah.
Something for grand final.
Yeah.
2025. And then if you had your go-to dish now, if you're into cooking, what's your dish that you would like to cook and serve up?
A dish that I have not yet mastered but would one day love to be able to just like cook on the regular would be like a lamb ragu but it just takes so much time. Don't know if I have that patience.
You're going to drive from Tasmania, you've got time to do that. When we did the cooking challenge at Ipswich Barbecue Fireplaces,
Yeah.
I mean, there was some wonderful dishes there, but it should be noted you came second
Yeah.
in that
And it
challenge.
should be noted that the judging was biased.
Although me and Lily Grimble made a wonderful guacamole to open up a range of into the future. Now, last question, and it's probably the most important question. What does wearing green and white for the Jets mean to you, and how special is it to you and to have your Jet number and to be playing all the colours in it?
Yeah, I think I'm really proud to be part of the Jets family and the Jets community, and I think to be a part of a legacy and a history of sorts that has a lot of pride in it, and to be one, small number in that big, wonderful tapestry of history has been incredible. And I think it's really about the girls that are beside me as well on the court. I think representing them, I'm not only representing the Jets, but I'm representing the girls around me and the girls in the pathway that are coming next, and setting that legacy for them. And I think having the younger girls look up to you is something that I've really, really taken on, and I wanted to set an example of what the Jets can be and what the younger girls can look up to in the Ipswich community, whether that's out at the juniors or whether that's within our own Jets pathway. So I think the legacy is really, really great.
Elsa Sif Sandholt, Jet number 22. Thank you. So that's a wrap up on episode of the TAE Aerospace Ipswich Jets after 60. Proudly brought to you thanks to Hoyts Cinema North Ipswich. So remember to come to Court 1 at Nissan Arena at 4 p.m. on Saturday 12th July to support the Sapphire Girls for their round 7 clash, followed by our Ruby Girls playing on the same court at 6 p.m. for their round 11 game. So stay tuned, make sure you like, share and subscribe, and we'll see you next time as we bring you all things Ipswich Jets.